which I'm going to get into with Tara the Twerker. We'll get into Tara the Twerker. So, because that's what she was trying to sign into legislate. Matter of fact, didn't she do that already? I think she did that, but I think she was putting that to legislation to have children learn how to pleasure themselves. Yes. This is in the books.
It's in New Jersey.
Man. So, and this is right up your alley. So, I'm gonna go into this next question here, and I know here I'm probably gonna have to like just sit back and just take notes because I know y'all gonna go in on this one here. So I call her Tara the Twerk Mack. All right, Tara the Twerk Mack from Rhode Island. Is there something behind this twerking method besides obscenities and disrespect for public office? Sanddog.
I mean, look, it goes to show everything that they think about you. Let's take a step backwards. Let's go into the presidential election where the Democratic Party, I think out of Atlanta, had that commercial, get your booty to the poll. Right. So, it's, this is what is perceived, as Black culture, right? You had Joe Biden talking to Cardi B, right? So, there are Black intellectuals all over the place, right, that they could talk to, but I choose to talk to Cardi B. I got people in Georgia putting out commercials talking about, get your booty out into the poll, and now this. And so this is what has been seen as Black culture and what has been propagated, especially now in the Democratic Party, where it seems like the fringes of the party have now taken over, or the far left has become the identity of the party. And so as a result of that, behavior like this has, in a sense, right, has become somewhat encouraged, and in some cases promoted. And so I think so this is a real problem that the Democratic Party will have with the far left or the fringes of the party having the type of control, that they have now, and the influence on the culture, that they have. And so, for example, and it kind of goes back to when I said I was indifferent about the critical race theory, because again, it boils down to intersectionalism. And so, look, so, for example, in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, right, if you're a practitioner of the martial art, one of the things that you do is that you use your opponent's leverage against them as best you can, right? So if the Republican Party is this all racist entity as Black people claim it is, right? Let's go back to Mitch McConnell, right, when he made the statements about Black voters, right, American voters and Black voters. So, look. And I'm telling you to have a utilitarian point of view. I'm not trying to recruit anybody, right? But with that being said, because for many of you who know me on this panel, I'm a former military officer, right? I've been a tank platoon leader, a scout platoon leader, and a whole number of different things. And so if Mitch McConnell is still recognizing you as a Black person, Negro, African American versus a person of color, that is a place. What Mitch McConnell has told me, if I remove my feelings, is that is a place where Blackness has a platform, right? Where blackness could have a voice. And so all I'm saying is that, exploit opportunity any and everywhere that you can get it, because again, it's just from my perspective, there are a lot of things that are happening on the far left that are just completely insane, and the reason why African Americans gravitated towards it was simply because, again, the belief system was that it was a space free of racism where I could be accepted, and then but the price that comes with it are all of these other ideologies that are non-productive. So that's my take on it.
Okay, Reverend Childers.
Yeah, because they have become the most powerful lobbying force in the country, the LGBT agenda. There's no question about it. They are getting legislation passed in lightning speed, and it is directed. And they have right now, they have legislation that basically sexualizes sexualizes your kindergarten, your sixth grader, all from sixth grade to kindergarten and past eighth, seventh grade. It's abominable. So right now, and they rode on these basically issues dealing with the plight of African Americans. They have taken that up as their own plight, but pushing their agenda. Politically speaking, they are stronger than the African American when it comes to lobbying in the White House, or lobbying in the Senate, or lobbying in the Assembly. And it is an agenda. They know it destroys the family. There's no question about that. Any cursory search knows that the chief unit that causes nations to be strong is one man, one woman, and those two raise children. There is no other equation that has ever been successful. And if they want to put that in cultural studies, they would find that they could definitely know that. But right now, you have a war going on for your children. And and they can never, unquestionably, because any benefits that were coming to African Americans are possibly on the brink of really restoring and really having some serious talk about reparations, has now been deflected.
Okay. You want to get into Tiara the twerk though? Because that was
okay. I'm not. Did you send me that? I'm here in New
yes.
Jersey. I'm here in New Jersey fighting that legislation. Now I don't know the history of it. But
Yeah, they went. I give it to Tariq Nasheed. He went over it, but and also radical conservative, known as oh my God, I can't. But anyhow, she went over it as well, and that was pretty. That was pretty big because you know, I mean, people got all these different gimmicks on how to get their attention, get your votes, and stuff like that. But you're going to be doing all kinds of photo ops with children, all kind of wholesome pictures, even your wholesome, we call it legibits over here, rainbow stuff or what have you. But later on, you start digging deeper, and part of her things that she was championing was that, and it's like
teaching children how to pleasure themselves. The bathrooms is basically under that basically legislation. And matter of fact, and if I see, here's where I really catch all hell for this. I am not going to call you sheep because you feel like it that day. I'm just not going to do it. And I could be fine. You know, in Montclair, they're talking about, instead of the place in Jersey, they're talking that being some type of a crime or I forgot, a misdemeanor. All right. Well, that is an agenda to break down the society. No one can ever tell me anything different. This is to cause chaos, then another crisis, then they're just going to take over. That's what's going to probably happen. But it's a breakdown, and it's going on right now. What is saving us from this is the parents began to wake up because of COVID. They were home. The laptops were in their house, and when the teachers were teaching, they were listening. Okay, and they became alarmed what was coming over the laptop, and they began to gather. So, in other words, if COVID had not come, even though COVID was another means of control and tried to introduce how far they could go and how far they could push people and control people, we would not. The good part about it, parents would have never found out that about the curriculum that secretly, because they can't take the homework home. You got to understand that the LGBT agenda is to sexualize them in the classroom, but do not take the homework, and the paperwork does not go home. There's a reason for that.
Okay, so just for people that think that we're making stuff up here, this is her tweet. Says, really excited for the House sex ed bill hearing later today. Teaching comprehensive, queer, inclusive, pleasure-based sex ed was a highlight of my time teaching. And this is in February. This is like fairly recent. While she is senator, before the twerking.
What state is that?
This is in Rhode Island.
Okay, yes, right here in Jersey. It's in New York. It's going but yes, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, so this is something where I'm like, okay, we don't have picket signs about this type of stuff, or we're not really I mean, what's that's what my thing was. It's like, how come we're always talking about, changing Black history? We're talking about that instead of keeping this stuff from our children. That was my thing. I know, but brother
Well,
T, go ahead.
It's in full force in September.
Okay.
They were supposed to introduce it in June. You really only have July and August to stop this.
Ouch.
Whether you're just going to go, and parents are calling during the summer saying, I don't want my child. Originally, you couldn't opt out. Now you can opt out, but you have to sign a letter saying what in this state to opt out. So in other words, if you don't sign a letter saying you're objecting to this, your child is going to be situated and sit there. And after all, mommy, I got to go to school. She gets you up. She's working. She's doing everything she can to hold the house down. A lot of times she has to do it by herself. And she's sending that child to school with the mindset of listen to the teacher.
Yes.
Listen, and I want you to get good grades. I want you to do this. I want you to do that. And the child goes with that mandate. I got to listen. Well, then you have the drag queen. She may not be dressed as she very well may be on the BL or on the BL, teaching your children. And we definitely got to step up to the plate on this one. I'm meeting with some pastors next month and letting them know, because I know they don't know. But that's the way it's done. That's the way it's done.
Okay. Brother 2 West, you want to weigh in on Tiara the twerker?
Tiara, the twerk Mack.
Senator. T West, Senator.
Rhode Island. Well,
my God.
I think art. Well, first of all, let me say this: you are an artist extraordinaire.
I'm trying.
Very talented.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Look, I saw that. I saw that with her upside down, legs and butt up in the air.
Yeah,
I saw that.
With the rash. Yeah, I saw. Yeah.
But and I didn't go any further than that. I'm like, okay, that's some drama garbage. I move on. So, but you posted something a moment ago that is very, very noteworthy, and it was in her own words about her teachings. Okay, her teachings.
Right.
And that is exactly where the main problem is. They've got teachers out there who are teaching them this at a very young age. She's a young woman at a very young age, and then when they become adults, they engage in this type of behavior, and then they want to instill in you that it is normal, it is natural, it is good. So she exploited the situation. She exploited opportunity. Well, what was the opportunity? Well, the opportunity was political. Well, what was the situation? Well, you have mainstream corporate media who have seeded the situation where it is acceptable, it is normal to go out there practically naked and twerk. Okay? I mean, bedroom stuff. Okay? To twerk. And make you feel and think that it is normal. So in America, what we have is the Talmudizing, the word Talmud, the Talmudizing of the United States. That's what's going on. And white dollars, white media influence primarily, they push and promote black folks who engage in this type of behavior. Now, why black folks? Well, long ago you heard of the term "be like Mike," referring to Michael Jordan. What white America has learned is that if you want to culturalize something, if you want to make something a norm, popular, a fad, then put a black face on it.
Mhm.
and then push it, give them some money, and then promote it. Whether it's gangster rap, whether it's twerking, whether it is homosexualizing Michael Magic Johnson's son or others,
Simone Sanders. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
yeah, and others. Then Dwayne Wade and what's her name? Union.
Yeah, Gabrielle.
Gabrielle. Okay. All right. If you want to do it, put a black face on it. Give those Negroes a little bit of money for doing it. And then white America, Hispanic America, Italian America, all of America will say, hey, we want to be like that. Okay? So black folks, this is my message to you. There's a price to pay for being leaders. You are the leaders who they're putting out there promoting this mess. And it's time for you to wake up, because the whip that's coming, you don't want anything, you don't want any of that. Oh, the strap that's coming, the belt that's coming, you don't want any part of that. So she was doing what the media had made popular. They popularized it. And she had already been trained as a young girl as this being acceptable. That's why the book says, train up a child in the way that child should go. And when that child grows old, that child will not depart from it. I'm done.